right. Well, welcome to our small and intimate gathering, celebrating the power of your creative self. And I think you all know both of us, but anyway, I'm Audrey, Jennifer is Jennifer. And yeah, we're really happy to have you. And we wanted to offer this kind of in the spirit of our whole workshop series, our whole Birth Your Truest Story workshop series, which is very much in a way about, well, about a certain kind of mothering, a certain kind of support for oneself through the creative process. And also the process of giving birth is the process of being creative and creating something. And, you know, not all of us are mothers, but we all have mothers. And I had a very interesting experience of writing a blog post this past week and feeling moved to write something about my mother. And maybe it was a little bit of sort of subconsciously channeling what we're going to work on today. But I really found myself examining kind of where my mother came from, and thus sort of where I came from, and then where I ended up, and how those things were kind of linked together in this sense of lineage. And I, like many people do, I had a kind of a fraught relationship with my mother, and didn't really work through some of the stuff while she was alive. And since her death, I've worked through more of what was getting in the way of that relationship, but realized a kind of a powerful thing. And that is, I ended up working for a sort of the end chunk of my career as a birth doula for about 20 years. I'm pretty much retired from that now, although I do still attend a few births. And a birth doula being someone who is a labor companion there with women while they're giving birth. And my mother was not a very nurturing person, not a very warm personality. And I kind of saw the tracings of how I may have ended up in this chosen profession of birth doula, maybe in opposition to what I perceived from her. So I think all of us have those stories that we kind of weave from our past through our own lives, and you know, they reverberate into the future if we have children of our own. So we're going to look at some of that here today. And I don't know if any of you were with us for our writer's spa a couple months ago, but the format that we do is some prompted writing. And then I think it's after our first prompt, I don't remember now, we take a little break in 20 minutes or so for about 10 minutes of yoga. So you won't need anything more than, like, you don't need a yoga mat, but if you have one, you can use one. And it's just, you need kind of a space that's about a yoga mat size to move around in. And of course, you don't have to be on camera for that if you don't want to. So with that, shall we launch into our first, oh, and poetry, of course. How could I forget poetry? So we'll have poetry. And so we will start with a poem. And this is, Jennifer, do you want to introduce this? Because you chose it, and then then we can listen to it.
Okay. This is a poem about which you may have heard this poem before. It's a pretty famous poem. And it just sort of leads us into a consideration of where we've come from in terms of place, in terms of people, in terms of communities, in terms of what we've loved. And for our purposes today, I think we're going to be listening especially for our matrilineal ancestry, and you know where we've come from on our mother's side for Mother's Day. So we found a recording of the author of this poem reading the poem. So I'm going to share the written version while we listen to the recording.
All right.
Where I'm from. I am from clothespins, from Clorox and carbon tetrachloride. I am from the dirt under the back porch, black, glistening. It tasted like beets. I am from the forsythia bush, the Dutch elm, whose long gone limbs I remember as if they were my own. I'm from fudge and eyeglasses, from Imogene and Alifair. I'm from the know-it-alls and the pass-it-ons, from perk up and pipe down. I'm from he restoreth my soul with the cotton ball lamb and 10 verses I can say myself. I'm from Artemis and Billy's branch, fried corn and strong coffee, from the finger my grandfather lost to the auger, the eye my father shut to keep his sight. Under my bed was a dress box, spilling old pictures, a sift of lost faces to drift beneath my dreams. I am from those moments, snapped before I budded, leaf fall from the family tree.
So I have the full poem here, small, so you can look it over again. But you see that she moves kind of from place, then into people, then into some of the culture around the people, and even some events that were important, and then kind of moves back to herself. And those pictures that I had on the slides were from my family. So we thought for the first prompt, you could try to write your own Where I'm From poem. And Audrey and I are planning to do this too, including in your description places, people, family stories, traditions, items that you remember from your childhood home, etc. So if you just start with the words I'm from, and just see where you go, thinking especially on your mother's presence in your life. And we have, how long are we going to give this, Audrey? You're muted.
I think we said 10 minutes.
Okay.
But
so 10 minutes. Where are you from? Okay, about another minute. Okay, that was fun. So we have planned just a 5-minute reflection on what we just wrote. So how does your creative work as a writer emerge from the lineage and the place that you're from? So not just you as a person, but you as a writer now. And if you imagine yourself in dialogue with your ancestors, are you agreeing with them and extending their lives and their ideas into the future? Or are you arguing with them and taking a different path? So we'll just take 5 minutes for this reflective writing. Okay, a little less than a minute on this one. Okay, now we have the fun part, right?
Yes, we do. And I'm actually going to move my camera to my yoga space. So I will take myself off video while I do that so you don't get seasick. And I will be back in a moment. Feel and shake, let things go. And bringing your breath deep into your belly. I'm going to concentrate on this, what yogis refer to as the second chakra, which is this area kind of where the sexual organs are, the seat of your creativity, your power of birthing. So just put a hand there. You might maybe even let your thumb be on your navel and your little finger be on your pubic bone. And consciously breathing into that space in your lower belly for a few breaths, just letting it rise and fall. Feeling it expand as you inhale and draw in as you exhale. Maybe even taking your other hand and placing it behind you on your sacrum. So you can feel the expansion all the way around, just energy filling that lower area. It's bringing some awareness there with the next few breaths. And then when you're ready, if your eyes have been closed, blinking them open. We're going to do one more thing here, seated, and that is Crescent Pose. So to begin, we're actually going to lift everything upward. So again, grounding down through your seat, through your sit bones. And from there, really lengthening your spine, reaching your arms up as you breathe in, taking a nice deep breath, letting your shoulders relax as you did earlier, but still reaching your fingers high. One more breath in, and then with the exhalation, leaning over to one side, doesn't matter which one, and letting your palm go to the floor. And reaching up and stretching on that side that's extended and breathing into those ribs on that side. Trying not to collapse on the other side, but just really reaching out of the base of you, out of that area that's anchored to the ground. And feeling your ribs expand, your heart area expand. And then on the next breath, bringing yourself back up as you inhale. Passing through the center, raising that hand that's been on the ground up. Another nice deep breath in, letting the opposite hand drop down to the earth. Bringing that breath in and extending over to the other side, feeling that ribs opening, your waist opening. Letting your neck be relaxed so you're not straining, maybe reaching your fingers out. Maybe comforting your cat. A couple more breaths here. And then again, with a nice deep breath in, lifting yourself up, raising your arms, and then exhaling as you let your hands float back down beside you. All right, and then we'll make our way to our feet for a couple of things standing. So however is easy for you to get there gently, not standing too quickly. And rising up, standing for a moment in mountain pose. So your feet underneath your hips, feeling your soles of your feet connected to the ground, your spine rising up. Again, shoulders relaxed. And just taking a breath here. Before we step into Goddess Pose for just a few minutes, a nice powerful pose that Jennifer requested specially. So stepping out with your feet maybe about hips distance apart. You can have your toes turned out slightly, maybe 45 degrees or so, pointing right under your knees. And then just sink down as much as you want to. You can sink down a little bit, you can sink down more. Of course, you're gonna, quads are gonna work a little more if you're sunken down. And as you breathe in, let's move our arms into that wonderful, powerful pose of the goddess. So palms facing out, elbows parallel. Taking a few breaths here. And if you wish, you can bring one hand or both down to that area of the second chakra. And again, as we were doing, really anchoring into that power as you spend just another minute or two, or a breath or two, I should say. And in a minute, we're going to get a little more active and do just a few goddess squats. So next time you inhale, just straightening your legs. Arms coming up above your head, and then as you exhale, sinking back down into that goddess. Inhaling up, reaching for all that energy, and exhaling down. And one more up. Nice deep breath. And back down into goddess. And then simply straightening your legs. You can heel toe your feet together or just step together. And doing a nice forward bend. I'm going to turn sideways and we're going to just let the backs of our bodies release. So I like to just roll down on these. So lowering my chin and just letting my vertebra by vertebra spine move, roll forward. And you may go as far as or as little as you wish so that you can relax and really let everything hang. You're going to want to keep your feet anchored. Your knees can be bent or straight. Your hands can dangle or touch the floor. And just breathe into that release in the back of your body. Just letting everything go in the back of your body. And from here, we're going to make our way back down to the floor, which you can do in a couple of ways. You could either squat, or you could walk your hands forward, come to your knees. We're going to do, finishing up here with a child's pose, kind of the complement to all our mothering. But I love this posture because it really lets a lot of release happen. So I'm going to suggest a little variation on child's pose, which is having your knees a little bit wider than your hips and your toes together. And then just go ahead and sit your sits bones back on your heels. And then as best you can, walk your hands out and let your head relax forward. If you can get your forehead to the ground, great, do that. Otherwise, just let everything go to the extent that it can. And then once you're here, taking a breath, and I'm going to move up so you can hear me, but letting your belly in that space that you've created with your widened knees really relax down as you breathe into it. And again, you should be able to feel the breath going into your sacrum, into your hips, and the whole back of your body is just releasing, and the front of your body as well. Just a couple more breaths there before we come back up. And then as you are ready, again, rolling up, using your hands maybe to assist you in coming back up. And you can either go back into easy pose, or if you would like to simply stay sitting on your heels, you can do that. And as you return to a seated position, letting your hands rest in your lap. I always feel like these 10 minutes of yoga are the fastest 10 minutes, and yet I hope a little bit of a reprieve, a little bit of a reconnecting with our bodies. And as we finish, maybe hands to our hearts, honoring all the mothering, all the caretaking that we do for others, that we do for ourselves, and inviting it in to us to be with us as we continue. Thank you, thank you. All right, well, I will return to my other space as Jennifer continues here.
That was nice. That was very nice. I needed that. Barbie. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I think I just love Goddess. I think it's such a powerful pose about creativity.
Indeed.
Yeah. So let me share this again. So we have another poem. We turn the corner in our hour. So this is by Rainer Maria Rilke, translated by Anita Barrows and Joanna Macy. I believe in all that has never yet been spoken. I believe in all that has never yet been spoken. I want to free what waits within me, so that what no one has dared to wish for may for once spring clear without my contriving. If this is arrogant, God forgive me, but this is what I need to say. May what I do flow from me like a river, no forcing, no holding back, the way it is with children. Then, in these swelling and ebbing currents, these deepening tides moving out, returning, I will sing you as no one ever has, streaming through widening channels into the open sea. So this poem seemed appropriate for Mother's Day to me because of that stanza. May what I do flow from me like a river, no forcing and no holding back, the way it is with children, and the way it also is in labor. If you've ever been in labor, there comes a point when you can't hold back. Your body really takes over, and it's pretty impressive. So with this, I have the whole poem here on the side, and we thought, just take a line from Rilke as your starting point and continue it into your own poetic reflection of all that you have not yet written or spoken, whatever you want to free that waits inside you. Okay, so take a minute to read the poem over again, and whatever line speaks to you, just write it down and keep going and see where it goes. And we're going to let this free write go for about 7 minutes. Okay, we'll call you back. One more minute. Okay.